Hi guys! So today I'm very excited to be talking to you guys about the OP-11 leader cards. All of the all-art leaders are out and we know all the effects. And if you have not already seen the announcements, some of these leaders seem to be pretty broken. Coupled with some of the cards that we have, I think it's going to be a very interesting OP-11 meta. So hopefully we can have a discussion about how to make these leader cards work and maybe how to prepare for them. So let's start maybe first with the announcement video that was published a few days ago. Alright guys, so I hope you are as excited as I am about the alternate art leader cards. Honestly, they look amazing and I cannot wait to see them in person. I think that it's my kind of artwork. If you have been in the channel long enough, you know that I like this more standard style of alternate art leaders. But today we are not here to discuss the artwork, we are here to discuss the effects, so let's go. For the first two that we're going to talk about, Shirahoshi and Jinbei, very collectible first Jinbei card, but at the same time, effects not what we are really looking out for. Okay, for Shirahoshi, it seems to be more of like you want to be playing more cards, flood the field, and for Jinbei, it seems to be like a little bit of a control kind, where you get to have more like Dawn cards active and Merfolk active. Overall, I don't know if they are very good. I think for Shirahoshi, if you want to flood the deck, you can't kind of beat Doflamingo. For Jinbei, if it's a blocker kind of card that you're looking at, I don't know if you can beat Usopp in blockers. At the same time, if you want to do a control deck, I don't think you can beat Bonnie. So I don't know if these two cards have a place in the meta. Still very collectible though. So I think for this video, what we are really going to be looking at is the other four cards. And we will start off with Katakuri, which is a little bit more something I'm not very sure about. So on one hand, it looks pretty good. We think it's two times, so once when you're attacking and once when your opponent attacks, because it's per turn. So once your turn, once your opponent's turn, you get to -1 Dawn. You look at the top card of your opponent's deck, which is a good thing, more information, right? And then you get to +1k to Katakuri, very similar to the yellow Katakuri. So the whole observation haki thing is still in effect here. But it's a bit costly, so I think if you want to make this deck work, you need a lot of cards like Pudding here. If you -1 Dawn, you get to get one more Rested Dawn back, or maybe like your Usta's Kid, -1 Dawn, you get to get 1 Dawn back. Okay, but things like Sanji and Pudding won't work because it only -1 Dawn, you cannot choose, and Sanji and Pudding you need to have 2 Dawns, so that's something you have to be careful about. +1k power is pretty good, and the reason why I think this card might be strong is because of the other things that we already know that is coming out in OP-11. So we have Oven here. If you start second, on your 4-cost turn, which is the second turn, you get to play this card. You know what's the first card on your opponent's deck, right? Because of Katakuri effect. So Katakuri will get to strike first, 6k attack. And then you get to remove one card from your opponent's field that they played in the previous turn, their 3-cost turn. And then you get back the Dawn card that you return through Katakuri's effect. So I think that's how it's supposed to work for this set. I believe they'll come up with more cards like that. On top of Oven, we already know one more that is for Lin, but this one you don't get to get back another Dawn card. A very costly card. So overall, so far it seems that Katakuri might be too costly to be good. But at the same time, right, if you notice both the Oven card and the Lin card here, they are both only rare cards. So if they actually come out with super rares for purple, for Katakuri, the effects will be a lot better than these two cards. So maybe they are not telling us something, and that something might make Katakuri really good. Might bring your Big Mom Pirates, the cards from Big Mom Pirates back into the meta. The 3 more exciting cards to talk about would be Coby, Luffy, and then Nami. So for Coby, it introduces a whole new type of characters called the sword type characters. And what I like about it is that I think it's quite balanced both offensively and defensively. The first part of its leader effect, I think, is more offensive, allowing its characters, sword card characters, to strike the turn that is played, right? It's a little bit like your Colosseum card for your Dressrosa arc. If you have already been playing OP-10 against Usopp, you know that this card can be very irritating. It allows the leader to get rid of a lot of flood decks, so it's a pretty good matchup against Doflamingo, all things considered, since nobody really has that strong a matchup against Doflamingo, but this gives it an edge. I think defensively it's also very strong because of its second effect. Already, Coby has a lot of put cards into trash effect type card under Navy, so it's gonna be able to defend against all your cost removal cards or your Shanks that just wants to remove your characters from the field. So very strong card both offensively and defensively. I think for Coby, right, the Colosseum effect which means you can attack characters on the turn that you play characters, is even better than the Colosseum or Usopp the backer because it's inbuilt. You don't need to spend a single cost to play it. Because your characters can attack the moment you play them, characters that have a on attack effect will become particularly good. The moment you play it, before your opponents can remove it or get rid of it through any means, immediately you get to activate its effect. The secret rare card, Coby, 8 cost Coby, has all these things going for it. So on play, you can attack active characters. So if there's a blocker card, if you want to let your searcher card remove one low cost, low power blocker, it can do it. It doesn't need to be this card itself. So I think the versatility for Coby deck plus this card is really good. And at the same time, right, it has the when attacking effect. So just now I was saying, when attacking effect is really good for those leaders or decks that can attack the turn characters are played. So Coby Strike ticks all the checkbox in this list. So I think it's going to be a very powerful card, a lot of potential. Just that we don't know what kind of sword cards they'll release. But the ones that I really want to play, because I'm such a nerd, I only play Straw Hat Crew cards, will be Luffy and maybe Nami. Okay, for Luffy, right, it is strong because by the time you reach the turn where you have 8 or more Dawn, you get to have permanent searcher for Straw Hat Crew cards. And it's not only a searcher, you can put the cards at the top of your deck in any order, just like the Perona card from Doflamingo deck. But I think one thing we need to be careful about is the way the wording is. So it's the start of your turn, you have to have 8 or more Dawn, which means it's before you draw the Dawn. So effectively, it only gets activated the turn where you have 10 Dawns, I think. So you need to think about how it's going to play out for your ramping. You really want to ramp effectively. So for the Bond Clay card, I don't know how it's going to work, because you usually want to play it in your turn 4, then you get 5, right? So next turn you get 7, next turn you get 9. Doesn't really work so well for Luffy, but maybe Zoro or some other ramp cards that you introduce will be helpful. But once you reach 10 cost turn, the 10 Dawn turn, this card is pretty insane. Searcher every turn is just ridiculous. The amount of resources you can get, the amount of firepower you can get will be insane. And it brings us Sanji, 9 cost Sanji, back into the meta. This card, the leader card, lets you search for it and then play it. And the rest of the card, you get to arrange it so that this card's effect is maximized. So one of the things about this Luffy leader card that we know and we like is that it has 6k power, very offensive, but the weakness is that it only has 3 life. But with Sanji and with cards like Lin, you get to cover up or protect against the low life problem that this leader will have. And it will not cost you an entire turn to do it. You get to play Sanji, so you have one more 9k attack character the next turn, and then you get Lin. I think this is a very good deal. At the same time, right, there are a lot of other 9 cost cards that just work, like your secret rare from OP-09, 9 cost Rush Luffy. So many things they can do with this card. And at the same time, you got a new card released in OP-11 that has Rush, that has an effect that is when attacking. So you get to bounce back character a cost of 4 or less to the owner's hand, getting rid of a blocker or any other annoying cards. So I think this leader with Sanji effect is just pretty disgusting, honestly. this is my leader of choice in OP-11. Looks very fun. It might not be the best deck, but it's just very quick tempo, very offensive, very to my liking. The other two cards that is going to make Luffy really good, and I'm talking about it here because it's also going to work for Nami, are these two cards. So a 5-cost blocker with 1k counter that allows you to draw 3 cards and place 2 cards, top or bottom of your deck. Which is again insane, because if you think about Luffy effect, right, the 3 cards that you draw can be all 3 cards that you really want, because you get to arrange them and you get to chuck 2 cards in your hand that you do not want. Such a good card for this Luffy deck. And at the same time, it synergizes very well with the other super rare card, Sanji. When Sanji is KO'd by your opponent's effect, that means removed by an effect, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you get to play one 5-cost or lower card. So you can play this Nami and draw more cards. Or, if you remember your purple Luffy deck, you already have a lot of 5-cost card that is pretty good. So this Sanji card, if it's removed by an effect, there's a lot of things you can do. At the same time, right, on play, it can bounce back a 5k or less character to the owner's hand. So overall, I really think that it will make this Luffy deck really, really powerful. But the one that everybody is kind of freaking out over will be the Nami one, because both its effects are insane. On the first part, when the card leaves life, we think it's both your life and your opponent's life. You get to draw 1 card as long as you have 7 or fewer cards. You remember Usopp, which was giving everybody a headache in OP-10 already. The limit is 5 cards, but for Nami it's 7 cards. So the amount of resources that she's gonna have will be insane. At the same time, plus 2k power if you trash a card from your hand. For a character unlike Blackbeard, who will never run out of cards in her hand, I feel like it almost makes her untouchable. It's really, really insane. You already have a lot of like yellow cards that make this deck work. Hiyori, cards that allows you to remove a card from the life deck and then put back something. So you don't lose a life, but you get to draw a card. And then you have things like Robin and other yellow cards that helps you to remove life cards from your opponent's deck. So you don't even need to worry about whether Nami has enough firepower in her deck. You just remove the life from your opponents. And then if you're worried, oh no, what if I cannot draw a card with Nami, right? There's no way you cannot draw a card with Nami. You recall, right, the entire deck from the previous Nami is about drawing cards. So there's a ton of cards out there that will allow Nami to draw. You just need to know what to do and how to do it. Which also then means every turn when you're trying to strike at the leader, you are looking at a leader with 7k power. Very insane. At the same time, if you are worried that all these cards we are talking about, drawing, removing life, right, are not Straw Hat Crew cards, you cannot search for them, we don't have that worry because in EB02, you have your theme song searcher cards. Just now I was saying that maybe Nami might not have the firepower, but we already know we have a Straw Hat 8-cost 8k rush card that can remove a blocker. That's really insane. So I think this Nami card, together with all the Straw Hat Crew cards that we have talked about so far, it might really be the best leader card in this meta. So I think a lot of people are going to try it. This leader card will be super expensive. I'm hoping that this is the other leader card, the alternate leader card that I'll get. Alright, so I think that's about all that we're going to talk about for OP-11. I hope that you are also as excited as I am for this release. So if you have any other thoughts about this meta, feel free to comment down below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you when OP-11 comes out. Bye!